Incompetent Contractor, Robert Dennis of Deblor Corp. If you're thinking of hiring a contractor to do work on your own house, consider these three things before hiring Bob Dennis. Number one, the excessively long time it takes for Bobby to complete the job. Number two, his extremely poor communication. And number three, his poor quality workmanship. In August 2007, the builders, Don Cortez and Dave Thomas, hired Bob Dennis to construct a garage, pour a concrete sidewalk, and build steps to the kitchen. It's now August 2008, and Bobby has finally completed the work. So it took him a year to finish a job a competent contractor could do in a few months. So if you want your job done on time, don't hire Bob Dennis. Bobby is also incompetent when it comes to communication. When the garage and the work wasn't completed by the end of September, we made several attempts to contact him to inquire when the garage would be finished, but Bobby doesn't return phone calls or respond to faxes or reply to letters. We made several attempts to call, fax, and mail him to get updates on the job, but he never responds. Maybe we should have tried a smoke signal or a telegram. By November, it had been so long since we'd seen or heard from him, we thought he abandoned the job. Then Bobby just shows up randomly 3 days before Thanksgiving and wonders why we're not satisfied with his work. Maybe if Bobby listened to messages or returned phone calls, he would not be oblivious to complaints. So if you want a contractor who calls you back, don't hire Bob Dennis. We were trying to contact Bobby about the poor quality on his work. On the garage, he didn't measure the distance for the garage door correctly the first time and had to redo the opening so a garage door could be installed. Then he installed the garage door incorrectly. The support track was not aligned properly, and the track was bent and broken, and that caused the garage door to break. So thanks to Bobby's incompetence, the garage door broke apart and was rendered useless and had to be replaced. Bobby also failed to complete the grading for the driveway, so there was no driveway for 7 months. So if you want a garage that's built correctly the first time, don't hire Bob Dennis. Bobby is equally incompetent when it comes to the concrete work as well. When he poured the concrete for the walkway, he made a 6.5-inch step between the walkway sidewalk curb, and that created a safety hazard ideal for someone to trip. Bobby doesn't have any common sense, so he doesn't really care about safety. He also failed to remove the wood chips between the rocks and the side of the house. He just poured the concrete on top of the wood and the rocks. So if you want a contractor who has common sense, don't hire Bob Dennis. Bobby proved equally incompetent in building the steps as he was in building a garage. The first kitchen steps were unsafe as there was no handrail built, and there was wood to earth contact, which made the steps vulnerable to insects and moisture. The wood began to deteriorate as soon as it came in contact with the snow and rain of the winter months. Then in February, the builders gave Bobby a second chance to correct the steps, but Bobby built unsatisfactory steps on his second try. He chose to repeat the same mistake of wood to earth contact by cutting a hole in the asphalt and just putting the steps in direct contact with the dirt. Bobby's also a contractor who can't measure. There's a 7-inch gap in between the kitchen door and the landing, and the one step between the landing and the door, or the landing and the other steps, are different heights. The step from the asphalt to the first step is 4 1/4 inches, but the second step measures 5.5 inches, and the third step measures 5 3/4 inches. Bobby also used unpressurized wood to shim up the steps, which is clearly a code violation. And then on the handrail is also not straight. It's tilted at a 96-degree angle. The widest part of the handrail is 5.5 inches. The small part on top is 1 1/4 inches. The small square piece is not centered on the handrail. And it's also not to code because it's square instead of round. Bobby's poor construction makes it difficult for the handrail to be grasped. The steps even moved during the earthquake, so they're unsturdy and unsafe. And they pose an obvious safety hazard. Bobby failed to meet the 4 basic criteria to pass inspection. He must follow the building code, adhere to good engineering standards, demonstrate common sense, and must avoid the liability of a negligence lawsuit. So if you want a contractor who values safety and quality, don't hire Bob Dennis. He's not on time, he doesn't return calls, he doesn't use common sense, and he doesn't think about safety. He doesn't do quality work the first time or the second time, and that is why Bob Dennis is an incompetent contractor.